Women's History Month is celebrated in March to highlight the contributions of women to events in history and contemporary society. I hope you enjoy and are inspired by the personal stories, shared experiences, determination, and sacrifices with family members, and now we're sharing those things with you. Thank you all again for coming. I'd like to bring Missy Crutchfield up, please, and she is our MC for today.
Hi, I'm Missy Crutchfield. My day job is the administrator of the Department of Education, Arts, and Culture. We also have the Chattanooga Southeast Tennessee Film Commission, and we had a real big announcement just happen a few minutes ago. So you guys are all going to be buzzing about Harrison Ford in no time. I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be part of just anything, I think, that Deborah Levine does. Her work, her heart, her energy, and her collaborations are so much of what's great in Chattanooga and really all over the world because of the internet. So it's an honor for me to be here working again with Deborah, and an honor for me to be here experiencing firsthand these incredible stories that we're about to hear from these amazing women. Speaking of amazing women, I'm going to read you the list of some of the women in addition to Deborah Levine: Beate Zeres, Janelle Reuter, Dr. Ramya Imbar Srinivasan, and of course Ivan Phipps, Vincent Phipps. So you have a lot of wonderful things in store for you. Let me back up just a little bit and tell you about WOW. WOW Storytelling is Welcome Outstanding Women. It's an annual program created for Women's History Month by Deborah's Women's Council on Diversity, the Women's Council on Diversity. We would like to thank our host, of course, and Elizabeth Appling was up here, but we can't thank Erlanger enough, and I didn't know this beautiful Probasco Auditorium was even here. So Elizabeth and Erlanger, thank you so much for all you do, as well as the sponsor, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. We can't do things without our sponsors, and we have two great ones here. The Storytelling Project combines personal stories with historical events and the universal inspiration of memorable women who are like social glue. So let me bring up Deborah Levine, who is the editor of the American Diversity Report, director of the Women's Council on Diversity, and co-founder of WOW Storytelling. She is an urban planner specializing in arts and culture. Go figure. She is an award-winning author whose stories encourage activism, altruism, and a global mindset. The story Deborah tells us today is based on the letters that her parents wrote each other during World War II and the Holocaust. Her father preserved them for 60 years, handing them down for her to share when the time was right. I believe the time is right. Thank you, Deborah Levine.
I have a soft voice. My voice is my mother's voice. All the women in the family sound like me, Bermuda girls. Soft, a little calypso, a lot of British. We were sea creatures, so we could hear the sound of the surf on the pink sand in our sleep. My mom was the original island girl, sweet-faced, gentle as the ocean breeze, and clueless as a stranded mermaid. And at 16, Estelle Doris Malloy left Bermuda for Radcliffe, the girls' college attached to Harvard. In 1937, you could not have the boys and the girls in the same classroom. So the faculty would teach at the women's college and walk 20 minutes down to Harvard and teach the same exact class to the Harvard men. But true love has a way, and when my mother was introduced to my father, who was a Harvard sophomore, the inevitable happened. Aaron Levine, my dad, he was like my mother, a Jewish, Eastern European immigrant family, but he was no Bermuda boy. He was driven, and he was goal-oriented. He was intense, sharp-edged, sharp-tongued, skinny as a rail, and as determined in courtship as he was elitist in intellect. My grandparents were a little worried about this because Estelle was so young, but the couple did marry just as World War II was getting underway. And my father ended up in boot camp in the hills, Southern Hills. He was a Yankee. Southern Hills, in a secret base designed to train counterintelligence officers and translators. So we alternated one day between cleaning bathrooms in all the classrooms and learning interrogation techniques a little bit and learning how to translate a little bit, doing field work with communications with telegrams and telegraphs and with radios and carrier pigeons. So my mother followed him because she loved him dearly and didn't complain about living in a rented old attic, sleeping sitting up in a rocking chair because she was allergic to the dust, and didn't see my dad except once every 8 days. She supported herself by being a substitute teacher for disabled children until Dad was shipped out overseas to the Europe and Germany theater. And then she was pregnant and alone, and so she went back to Bermuda and her parents and started writing. Aaron, darling, I am afraid. I am not a very big, brave girl. I miss you so much and love you so hard. I am sure you must feel that, even in Europe. It is a mere statement of fact that when I say I think of you constantly, it's every single minute of the 24 hours of every single day. Your letters, darling, are wonderful. I have them all arranged in chronological order, and I read them every day. And she wrote every day for 2 years, even while she was having their baby all by herself. Dearest honey boy, isn't it amazing? Here we are, parents. At this present befogged moment, I am still flat on my back and pretty weak. This is something we planned on together for so long, and now it has actually happened, and we are separated. I am thrilled, but it is impossible to describe how lonesome I am before you. Your son, sweetheart, is a cute little mite in a comical way. He is the tiniest, minutest atom of a thing I have ever seen. I showed him your picture. He didn't say Daddy, but he didn't cry either. So I took that as an encouraging sign. So my father would write back about the food and about the books he was reading and maybe a little bit about his hopes for his new little family. And in between, as much as military censorship would allow, he wrote about what he saw in the war. Shadowy references to opening concentration camps, to piles of bodies. And as the war came to a close, he added his thoughts to what would be called, eventually, the Holocaust. He wrote my mom, "Dear Pie Face, the stories of German cruelty and oppression are not just stories, they are the real thing. And much of this was done by what we call ordinary people, not just the party members, but a vast number of common citizens. People who were jealous, depraved, and just plain terrified. A few seem to have the courage to laugh in Adolf's face. I have met some of these and have only tremendous admiration for them." Overwhelmed, Mom stopped writing. Instead, my grandmother wrote my father in what was a perfect example of island diplomacy. "Aaron, dear, Estelle has been a little under the weather. I believe that she misses her errand boy and finally could not contain herself any longer. Perhaps all that pent-up feeling had to come out, and now she will feel all the better for it. Who knows what happened? We feel so helpless in helping her in any way, as down in our hearts we know that nothing really can help. Please, God, soon all will be reunited and happy once again. But just don't worry, Aaron, Estelle's fine now. I'm sure Dad had a fit until Mom resumed her cheerleading role. and wrote to what she called the swellest husband a girl could ever have, and reassured him that he would find a job after the war was over and it would be okay. They'd all be together. She continued that role for the next 40 years, weathering the death of one of her babies, raising a disabled child, becoming a principal of a school, and tutoring young cancer patients, even as she was dying of cancer herself. So how can I not be inspired by her never give up because I love you approach to life? So I never give up, and I love you too.